infrastructure. Mr. McKee.
We had a much lengthier presentation on this interesting topic at Supervisor McGlashan's and Director McGlashan's Land Use and Natural Resources Committee. Larry Green from the Air Quality Management District here at Sacramento County is able to be here with us today, and he's going to give a brief introduction to this.
Thank you, Mike. I'm Larry Green, Director of the Sacramento Metropolitan Air Quality Management District. And I would say that trees and air quality have a long-term relationship, very obvious to all of us. Trees reduce ozone. If you have the proper mix of trees, they sequester carbon, they buffer communities from the emissions from roads, and they cool the environment and reduce energy use. At the Air District, we have had many years of good, strong commitment and work with the Sacramento Tree Foundation. We have a range of important projects that really, in some cases, have been national leaders in some of the thoughts and ideas that we've had from the Sacramento region. Sacramento Tree Foundation has been a good friend and a long-term partner, and one of the key people there has been Cindy Blain. She's the Community Partnerships and Innovation Director, and we strongly support the presentation she's going to make on Greenprint, and she's going to cover some of the work that they're doing. So I wanted to come and introduce that and support very much what she's working on here.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for having me, and my thanks to Larry for the introduction. The Tree Foundation has been around for 23 years, as many of you know. I started talking to Chair Diego about coming to present last year just to make sure that you knew about the Tree Foundation, because as you just had to reaffirm the blueprint, I thought it might be time to reaffirm the Greenprint, which is a corollary project to make sure we think about trees on a regional basis, because they're such an important part of our infrastructure. Today, really I have 4 conclusions that I'd like you to take home and think about. And one of them is I want you to know what the Greenprint is and what the Tree Foundation does. Everybody has heard the name of the Tree Foundation, but what we do is more than many people think. And then to understand and really believe deeply that trees are critical to your community on many levels, and we'll talk about that shortly. I want you to think of us when you're doing community work that revolves around greening and volunteer action in your communities. And we'll talk about ways that we have come up with funding that's allowed us to work outside Sac County with you. And finally, we have the Greenprint Summit coming up. It's our 4th conference recently, and this year it's all around public health. It's called Planning for Trees and Public Health, and we have the editor of the American Journal of Public Health coming, and lots of other people who will give you more reasons on why trees are critical to the health of your community. So if you look at this with our mission, you'll see that there's 2 pictures. Which kind of a community do you want to live in? And which kind of community does your constituency want to live in is the question, really. So please note the emphasis on healthy and livable. What we do. A lot of people, when you ask them what we do, they think we just plant trees. So I'm going to give you just a real brief run through on all the other things that we do. The Tree Foundation is one of the few tree foundations or tree organizations in the United States that is bigger than 2 people, or half a person, or volunteers. So what we do primarily is education. It's hands-on education, it's experiential education, and it revolves around seed to seedling, which is where we teach children how to take care of oak trees that we then give to the RCCC, the Rio Casamanas Correctional Center. They grow them into trees that we end up planting in open spaces around the region. We also do stewardship activities in parks, such as McKinley Park, where we teach people how to take care of the trees so that you don't plant them, invest in them, and then let them die. And we're also working on a new project which is called Greenprint Certification, which will be educational as well as a certification for large-scale residential housing developments to make sure that the way that the housing developments are set up is correct, and we're not planting trees too close to the house, etc. We also do advocacy. This picture here that you see in front of you is an image of what the Sacramento River would look like if we took all the trees off the levees. We believe that there are various areas where we have to protect the trees that we have, especially along the levees, as we don't have that many trees to begin with beyond. And then we also do research. This is where we don't just plant trees. As far as research goes, the Tree Foundation has done multiple projects over the years. You heard Larry. We've worked with Larry on air quality projects, including about ground level ozone and particulate matter. We've also been involved in public health. We've done a study that's just coming out shortly about what's the relationship between tree canopy in your community and the health outcomes and behaviors in your community. We're going to be presenting on that at the summit, as a matter of fact. We've done work with urban heat island studies as well. Next one. And then this says construction. That's a little bit surprising, but the truth is that everybody thinks that we just go out and plant trees in the park on Saturday, and we've now gotten into not just changing the landscape, but changing the hardscape. One of the grants that we got recently was a Strategic Growth Council grant for $990,000 to work at Grant Union High School, an under-resourced neighborhood, to rip out an asphalt road through the center of the campus and put in a pedestrian pathway with bioswales and trees and all sorts of sustainable practices. Supervisor Cerna was there talking with the students. This was also an educational type of grant. So, and this is a common theme throughout California in the urban forest world, that it's time to start taking out the concrete and having more permeable surfaces so that we can absorb the stormwater and not let it go down the river. So, but in the end, what this is all about is building better communities. We want communities that are healthier, that are engaged in taking care of the community so that it's not all on the city's shoulders. We want to engage the volunteers to do both, plant and take care of it. So, continuing on, the Greenprint. The Greenprint originally had another name, Regional Urban Forest Framework or something like that, and it was all about having the different jurisdictions get together and work on air quality and other issues that would make life easier for implementing urban greening practices. 27 of the 28 jurisdictions have signed these resolutions in 2005, 2006, and again, we wanted to come forward and reconfirm this. We'll be coming out to your offices in the next few months to talk about it some more, to talk about what your plans are, how we can help you with plantings. We get grant money from time to time for outside Sac County. We always have money for public plantings inside Sacramento County due to our 23-year relationship with the Sacramento Municipal Utilities District. But we're committed to working with you, and we want you to think of us. This next slide shows, this is actually from 2010 to 2012. We received a $750,000 economic stimulus grant, ARA money, and we were able to plant 7,500 trees throughout the region. You can see that we go outside and even quite far north, especially in Board Director Griego's region. So we were very happy. At that time, it was right after 2008, and we were able to supply trees and resources and purchase trees in the region, which was good for the economy, when the cities themselves were busy taking care of other things. Okay. I told you at the beginning that I want you to understand that trees are critical to the health of your community. As you can see at the top of this list is air pollution cleanup. We want to plant 5 million trees, or we expect to plant 5 million trees in this region over the next 10 to 15 years. That's going to be a mix of replacement trees and new trees as we have new developments. These numbers come from the U.S. Forest Service and show what we can do. Just a note, these numbers are what the trees do for the air that replaces infrastructure costs. So you don't have to have a plant to filter water. You don't have to have some other device to filter the air. So this does not talk about what the net impact is on people's health, which is what happens at the other end. If you've got better air quality, you have a healthier community. And then other benefits are the 11% increase in retail sales. This is obvious, is that people like to shop in nice neighborhoods more and they stay longer. They're actually spending more for those goods. And then the increase in home sale value. That's back to what neighborhood you want to live in. And again, The next frontier is urban greening and health. We're trying to quantify the benefits as far as health goes, population health. That's a tricky question because you could say, well, if people are healthier, what costs did you avoid in hospital care? Which is really what we want to get at, because what we're facing is an epidemic of chronic disease, which is all based on lifestyle choices. It's not based on something you can just give a pill for. So developing built environments, neighborhoods that are more walkable, et cetera, is key to that and getting people out. As somebody else said to me, well, don't think of health just in health costs avoided, because when people are sick, they're not being very productive either as citizens or residents in your cities. They're not out selling, they're not out creating new jobs, et cetera. So, catching up. Now, to talk about air quality, which is why Larry introduced me. Air quality tops the list. We were we received a grant from NASA to look at urban heat island effect in the 1998 to 2000, and what it showed was that by increasing the trees, we can reduce the summer temperatures 3 to 5 degrees Fahrenheit. Also, they wanted you to include cool roofs, and that this has an impact on ground level ozone because you've taken down the temperature. With that in mind, we started working with the Air Quality District, and this was leading edge, and EPA is still checking it out, about what trees can do. So the obvious things that they do, that 25 million in air pollution that they take care of, it's these things. It's ozone, it's sulfur oxides, nitrogen oxides, carbon. Reducing hydrocarbon emissions is actually a little bit more personal. That's when you park under a tree, you don't have as much off-gassing by your car's engine. If you have a Prius, it's a little bit different. There's better. The project itself with the...
You might define off-gassing for some of us up here.
Off-gassing is toxic air, toxins that go, because you're heating up the gas inside the engine and they get emitted into the air. Yeah, off-gassing, yeah. It's not discussion.
Apparently that hasn't hit Woodland yet.
The Urban Forest for Clean Air project we've had with the Air Quality District is an innovative control strategy, which means it's voluntary. And our whole idea is to shift the species to reduce how much volatile organic compounds are released into the air. This is a little bit of a controversial thing when you talk to tree people. They don't like to think about trees releasing VOCs. However, it's all about balancing the mix. You have to have the right tree in the right place. In some cases, it might be a tree that's better for particulate matter. In some cases, it might be a tree that's better for BVOCs. One thing I'd like to get across is that when you're planning your communities, the best that you can do is to plant the right tree in the right place, meaning you give it enough land, but large trees provide almost 50 times the benefits of small trees. And we sort of have a bugaboo about crepe myrtle. It's an ornament, it's not a tree so much, although some get a little bit larger. In the course of doing some of this research, we have this available now to share with you, and that is tree canopies by Zipcode. And so you'll see the darker green areas have higher canopy. We are on the West Coast, a lot of it is along the river. On the West Coast, we look to have a 35% tree canopy. That would be a good goal. On the East Coast, where they carved the cities out of forest, they're closer to 40 to 60%. Atlanta, if you want some comparisons, has a 54%. Overall, for our region in the urbanized areas, the Sacramento region's number is about 17%. And then New York City has 24%. Denver has 9.6%. You know, it's high up and it's arid. LA has 25%. This shows tree canopy by how big the city is, how much land it has, as well the total area. So if the total area is larger, the rectangle is larger, and the color gradient represents the percentage of canopy. And you can see that Davis has high canopy, Citrus Heights has higher canopy according to this. And we can provide more detail at your request. And I'm almost done. Okay, Greenprint Summit. In 2 weeks from today, it's an all-day event. Mary Northridge will be there talking about what happens if you decide to convert your city to cooperate with nature. We'll also have Dr. Tony Eiten, who's the head of the California Endowment, who'll be talking about One of the things he discusses a lot is that if you tell me your zip code, I can tell you how long you'll live. And he's going to talk about how trees, which are a workforce as far as health, impact that environment. There are some flyers out front as well. I'm very happy to also mention that several people in this room are on our steering committee for the Greenprint, and they are Supervisor Cerna, Supervisor Saylor, Supervisor Griego, and Councilman Stallard. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
All right, thank you.